One of the best ways I've found so far with Pluto being in Aquarius to call your power back to you is to ask the air, which I know sounds so simple and kind of silly because, like, how could the air keep us from our power? But when we look at Pluto, Pluto is a binding planet. So if we have power that's ours that is bound away from us, somebody else is using it or taking it up, or for whatever reason, there's a barrier between us and that power that we would like to call back to us. It's going to be the air that doesn't allow us to share. Aquarius is the air that carries the clouds of Pisces and then grounds the clouds of Pisces as well. Every time the rain falls, there is a birth. I suppose that's true. Very simply, the way that I have been practicing this or doing this so far is by saying, I call my air to return from this place, or I call my air to return from this person, or I call my air to return from the energies that are not in the energy that I want to sit in, you know? You can also, one of the things I've done is ask the air to help bring a protective barrier around you or to help keep some things out. Say that you know that you've shared air with another person through conversation or just being around them generally. You can ask the air, hey, can I have help with making sure that their energy in the air isn't near me as it may be necessary. Usually the spirits will listen to you and help you out with what you need help with, especially if it's something really simple. I always give my gratitude, love, and reverence to the air. Love you, air. Thank you for helping me. So, share care with the air. If the air is going to care about you, that's also true. But yeah, just something to think about because Pluto, as we move into this Pluto and Aquarius era, Pluto is the planet of power. It's the planet of bindings, contracts, exchange. So one of the things about Scorpio, because Pluto is about exchange, one of the things about Scorpio, which Pluto partially rules over with Mars, Scorpio can force exchanges, which is always not that fun sometimes. Okay, having a forced exchange is like kind of gross. And also, sometimes kind of necessary. It depends on the work that you are doing. You know what? Discernment. All right, we're going to leave it at that. Moving on. If you're working with forced exchanges, or you would have to force an exchange to rebalance things or bring justice to something, then this is going to be the era where it's done with the air and through the air. There's more to learn about it, but it's going to depend on your Scorpio and your 8th house placements. So go look at those placements for you and those spaces for you. If you have any Scorpio or 8th house placements, those are going to be skills and or energies that are going to be helpful in the warding and protecting and the directing and redirecting of our air and air currents to make sure that the order of your air and like how you keep your air around you is actually what you would need and want it to be. The air of love, the air of truth. Maybe you're moving through an area and need to be disguised for some reason. The air of disguise, cover other people's eyes through the air. Have them not look here with care, however you would want to say it. Ward the air, protect the air, take care of the air in your space, in your home, in your vehicles. Perfumes, smells, smokes, stuff like that can be an addition to this. Pluto, Scorpio stuff normally asks that we, how do I say this? It's like do the work without any tools, just using the self. And I guess it will depend on what you have again in the 8th house and the Scorpio spaces. That will let you know kind of what to work with when it comes to this. For example, if you have a Mercury in Scorpio, like I do, that's why I'm talking to the air, is because that's my skill. Well, one of my skills in Scorpio. Speaking, if you had Mars in the 8th house or in Scorpio, that's going to be priorities. So prioritizing the air, helping to direct the air. I need to go in this direction, air. Can you help me do that? I need these directions to not be able to reach me, air. Can you help me with that? True. Venus would be, I need to receive this through the air, or I don't need to receive this through the air. More reception and giving, like making the giving part of it. I don't want to give this through the air. I need to give this through the air. So like specifying the giving and the receiving with Venus. What else? The moon. I don't need to feel this through the air. Please allow me to feel this through the air. Interesting. That's true. Saturn, how much time are you spending with the air that you're in and what kind of air is around you? Also keeping very, very detailed boundaries and orders about what air you're able to and not able to share. Be specific with that one. True. Yep. Jupiter would be kind of about growth. So like I need this to grow through the air, or I do not need this kind of growth to come towards me through the air. Expansion stuff, I need this to expand in the air. I don't need this to expand in the air, and be specific with what you share there. Yeah. Neptune in the 8th house for Scorpio. I need this to transition, and I do not need this to transition through the air. I need to be able to see these things through the air, and I do not need to be able to see these things through the air. The sun. Oh, hello. How did I forget about the sun? I'm allowed to reach these people and these spaces through the air, and these people and these spaces are not allowed to reach me through the air. The sun itself, yup. Pluto in the 8th house for Scorpio. This kind of power is or is not allowed to reach me through the air. Thank you, air, for helping me. Thank you with care. And or with Pluto, this is what I'm willing to exchange through the air, and this is not what I'm willing to exchange through the air. Kind of like writing a terms of agreement with the air so that if people reach you to have some kind of exchange, that they're not able to have certain sorts of exchanges, and then other sorts of exchanges are already set up to happen. Yep, that's applicable. Is there anyone else? Are there any other planets? The lunar nodes, if you've got the lunar nodes, either the north node or the south node. Oh, and there's Uranus too, but we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, so the north node, I'm allowed to have these purposes through the air, and I'm not allowed to have these purposes through the air. Again, these placements are either Scorpio or 8th house related, if this is in your chart. The south node, this kind of air is allowed to ground with me, and this kind of air is not allowed to ground with me. Some spellings to help. And then with Uranus, I'm allowed to create this through the air, and I'm not allowed to create this through the air. Creativity. Other people are not allowed to create this around me through the air, or that's like not allowed to reach me. And again, ask the air. Those are going to be more like permissive allowance, sort of like verbiages, but Pluto is kind of all about permission, sort of. So the dark moon, if we want to look at some of the like lesser placements or like not as common or not as strong, the dark moon in Scorpio or the 8th house, that one's definitely going to be double down on permission for sure. The shadows and the mothers do and do not have permission to reach me through the air in a very specific way if you have the dark moon, and like, you know, you reaching through the shadows and through the air. The dark moon, oh my goodness. Yep, my shadows can reach other people through the air in these energies and in this way, and they're not allowed to reach me in this way. That'd be very shadow mother oriented. It is. Chiron, this kind of healing is allowed to reach me through the air, and these other sorts of healings are not allowed to reach me through the air. What's the other one? I feel like there's some other ones. The fortune placement, if you're someone who's like really reading into it, the fortune placement is about being at the right place at the right time. So I'm allowed to have these right places at the right time through the air, and I'm not allowed to have these other right places at the right time through the air. Because sometimes the right place at the right time is, how do I say? With the fortune placement, we have to actually really want it, you know? So specifying beforehand will be helpful to identify if and when it's actually happening, because the fortune is really about like luck. That's true. And then there's the rising, the descendant, the IC, the MC, like the directions of our astrology wheel. They each have a different purpose. So you can apply permissions of the air as needed for those do's and do nots. That's true. So that's what I have to offer to you. I was just doing some of that work myself, and I was like, I could share this with care through our digital technological air. So I'm going to do that. So here we are. Hopefully it's helpful. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew. Keep doing what you need to do. Enjoy the air changing with care. Bring offerings of love and care to the air if this is something you decide to do. Magic is not free, you know? And in my experience, especially if you're working with Pluto and Scorpio energy, which is what this is, if you don't make the offering, something is gonna be taken from you. That again, in my experience. So you know, just move accordingly as necessary. How do you offer to the air? You could burn something and bring to the air. You could use perfume, bring to the air. You could and bring to the air, you know? So however you feel like you need to offer to the air, be mindful of it. Make it an intentional sort of thing if you're asking the air to help you. And I love you, air, and thank you for helping me. That's true. So that's what I had. And I'll see you next time.